Okay, so that's the old one. And this is the new one. It's not exactly the right size because I wasn't going to deal with printer settings right now. But this is the design I made. So, you know, in theory, this would have been shrunk down to fit this card. And maybe adjusted the color a little bit because it's not exactly what I wanted. Because that's why I don't think I was using CMYK. That's probably the problem. So, but anyway, this is the new design that I have. Actually, let me show you next to the old one so I can kind of show you some of the differences. First of all, let's talk about the names here. I went a little overboard on the flourishing and I wasn't very good at it back then, in my opinion. And I was trying to hook everything together. Like, see, I kind of hooked the S with the end of the G here for my husband's name. You know, trying to hook us together a little bit. It didn't really work out the way I wanted it to. But I wasn't sure how to fix it. And, you know, it's fine. Again, beginner Shannon, it's fine. But a little cringy to me now, to be honest. And then also this part here, with it being in script, I mean, it's a little easier to read than this. But I think I should have had this in print. I'm gonna, you know, you see how I fixed it over here. I'm gonna talk about it in a minute, but I did have some of them in script, some of those words in script, and I did change it a little bit, like I said, the wording. But, you know, I wasn't sure what I was trying to do here with the script and then the font, the font here. Because originally I did, when I was trying to do it, I had all of this in script as well, and it was too hard to read, in my opinion, for some people. So, you know, I wasn't sure what to do at that time. So this is the best I could come up with. And then the difference with this one is, there's a few differences. One of them is, so let me talk about this first. So on this one, I did make the names a little larger, which is something you should do with a wedding invitation. Usually it depends on, you know, what you want to do for design, but because it's a wedding invitation and what people want to know is like who's getting married, and that's something they're going to scan your invitation for, like looking for, oh, it's Ross and Shannon, they're getting married. And, you know, the date and stuff like that should be a little bigger. I actually didn't make the date that big in this one, but, you know, that's a choice. But I did, you know, I did kind of do that here. I made the names bigger, but then like the rest of the information is kind of lost and kind of hard to read in some places, and I should have just designed it better. I don't know how to explain it, you know, how bad this is. I know I'm being kind of critical of myself, and again, I was a beginner, but again, like, it's, to me now, looking at it with the knowledge I have, looking back on it, I'm like, oh, this is awful. But like I said before in another video, I've had people come up to me that were at my wedding that tell me, oh my God, your invitation, I still have it, I treasure it, it's so, you know, it's so beautiful. And I'm like, okay. Because, I mean, like, I think they're appreciating the handmade quality, which is what I still did here. I did it handmade. I didn't use any fonts for this, but I could have done a better job. And this, I feel, is a much better job. It's what I should have done. You know, if I had the skill I have now, getting married 4 years ago, that's what I would have done. But this wasn't that bad, I suppose. But all right, so I might come back to this while I'm talking about this, but let's move on to this. So what I did, one of the things I decided to do was just make our first names kind of very large and script and kind of flowy, and not as flourished as these, but, you know, flourish. And the reason this goes off the page is it was designed that way. Like, this actually right here, this part of the R went off the page too, because it was kind of a design choice, like, oh, it's coming in from the outside kind of thing. And also because I was running out of room. not only that. So this isn't cut out the way it's supposed to be. It's on a piece of paper. So that's part of the reason why it looks kind of funny. But yeah, I made, so Ross and Shannon all kind of in the same line and all in script. And then I put our last names down here in block lettering and all lined up with each other. And then for this next part, so I changed the wording a bit. Like this one says, invite you to join them in celebration as they begin their marriage. And this is the one I changed to invite you to celebrate with them as they take the next step in their lives together by becoming husband and wife, which I think is a better way to say it. But I couldn't come up with that when I was trying to come up with it here. And you know, our invitation and our wedding in general was a little more modern, you know, be casual or semi-casual. And we were doing all the paying for everything and inviting people ourselves. So like in that regard, that was, you know, we are inviting you to this thing, not like the traditional wedding invitations. So coming up a way to word that, this is, I think, the best option that I could choose for our wedding. I'm not saying everyone has to do that, but, and if you like it, feel free to copy it if you want, it's fine. But I chose to then put celebrate and together in a script to kind of emphasize those words, and then husband and wife as well, and make husband and wife larger, celebrate together larger as well, to kind of, again, if someone's scanning this, they see, oh, Ross and Shannon celebrate together, husband and wife. We haven't gotten there yet, but Embassy Suites, that's where we got married. You know, so all the information is, oh, okay, this is a wedding invitation, this is what I need. Now I'm intrigued, I want to read the whole thing. So, you know, it looks a lot better, it's easier on the eyes, it's easy to scan and read than this one. This one's awful in that regard, in my opinion, again. So, this is much better. And you know, I didn't have the address on here, but I did have it on the details card, I believe, for, you know, the Embassy Suites. But, you know, I had the actual name, which is Embassy Suites, Milwaukee, Brookfield, technically. Put the address on here, on this one, so people would know in case they have to put it in their little map or whatever, or their GPS, I mean. And then I was trying to squish the rest of this information in this little spot here. So I did put promptly, and I did change the time apparently because this is 9:50, but promptly I did put that here because I was of the attitude where I'm not waiting for people. If they're late, they're late. And I'm just going to start the ceremony and, you know, getting people there ahead of time. For the most part, everyone came on time anyway, so it wasn't a big deal. But I don't have that on this one because I can't fit it. But I did have it on my original invitation, like, be here on time. And then, you know, I changed a champagne brunch will follow the ceremony to champagne brunch will follow, or to follow, which says the same thing but in much less words. And, you know, again, I shortened the ceremony will begin promptly at 9:50 to ceremony 9:45. Should have been 50. Because I think originally I was going to do 9:45, and then I said, no, 9:50 is better. I don't know why, but whatever. So that was a little discrepancy there when I created this. Not a big deal. It's not like it's actually happening. But then, you know, the actual date is up here too. This is when it's going to happen. This is when the ceremony starts, and then there'll be a brunch to follow. That's pretty much all you need to know.